if your child is not succeeding and you know they should be, and it's putting you in pain, call me. And you know it's my favorite time because we are at Utah Business Spotlight. This is another edition. Hit like, hit subscribe, share this with the Utah community so that we can help these businesses grow. That's why we're here today. I'm so excited. And for me, this is perhaps the most important business spotlight that I've ever done, ever in 45 years, because I'm actually sitting with my wife, who is the founder and CEO of Wynn Advocacy. They specialize in IEPs and 504s, specifically for kiddos with dyslexia, ADHD, and special needs. My wife happens to be one of the most sought after advocates in the country, certainly on the West Coast. She's been practicing primarily in California, Florida, Nevada. She is feared and respected throughout the West Coast. And now I get to speak to her. So I'm really, really excited, babe. You're beautiful. What you're doing in the community is incredible. But today we're talking about Utah Business Spotlights because you're breaking into Utah.
Yes.
I know we're working on a lot of, we've been going to a tremendous amount of well, I call them opportunity gatherings, but they're informational gatherings for the educational community. So let's talk about in what you do in advocacy. In the past, and perhaps in the moment, what are the biggest, toughest obstacles your business has had to overcome in the last decade or so?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. And thanks for having me here today. I feel very privileged. It was a really nice intro. When we first started, I really started from a path of I wanted to help the community, right?
Sure.
We have disabilities in our family, and so I learned early on that it was a complex process. And it became more complex because I realized I really didn't know the system. Mm-hmm. I was grateful that, our children were identified, but I didn't know the process.
Right. And most people don't know the process.
Right.
And that's with many companies. People don't know the process from problem to solution, right? They recognize the symptom. They generally don't know the cause of the problem. They recognize that there's a symptom, and they don't even understand how to go from symptom to solution. And so what is the problem that you recognized? So you recognize that as a parent, that the process is complicated. What is, as a business owner, what's the problem?
Well, I recognized it because I experienced it myself, that I saw a huge need for our children. Mm-hmm. I began to look at other families and realize, well, they're having the same need, and we all jumped in at the same time with no plan.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So one of the big problems is they have no plan. So one of the solutions when you're working with people who don't have a plan for their own rescue is to present the problem and let them know that there is a plan. This is key in marketing. If they don't know, and there was another problem that you experienced early on in your career, about 12 years ago, I think you came to one of my seminars and I sat you down.
I did.
Never do this. I'm going to tell you now. The worst thing any of the coaches out there can ever do is try to coach a spouse. It could end in disaster, but we didn't end in disaster. It actually helped your business.
It did.
Share that experience.
Yeah, it helped me tremendously. I got to go on the hot seat, which was kind of fun, right? And it was a great learning experience for me.
Sure.
But what I learned, my key takeaway from that event, your event, was that I was not clear on who I was serving.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was an aha moment in the dynamics of being husband and wife, because I know who your heart was serving.
Yes.
And who our hearts sometimes serve is not actually the person who cuts the check.
Correct.
right? So in your case, who you're serving, your heart's serving the child. Your heart, because that's where your heart lies, is with the
Yes.
experience the children are having, getting a better education, getting the education they deserve, and feeling good about themselves, right? You're really, I say you're the best because you are, but but I get to watch you do it daily. And I see, you're up at 4 or 5 in the morning. You don't get off of the phone till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. You're working multiple coastal time zones. But you do it all for the kids, but they're not actually your client. Tell me, what was the big takeaway?
The big takeaway was I learned, one, who my client was, which was the parent.
Yeah.
I also learned that they were in pain just like I was for many reasons, but the primary reason was is they didn't know how to help their child.
And that's and then you're going to get emotional. Don't get emotional.
Yeah.
but it's true. So when you recognize where that makes it easier to market, because then you can identify. It's like, okay, cool. I know that your child's in pain. I know that you're in pain watching your child suffer. So now I can shift my marketing to be something like, well, if your child is not succeeding and you know they should be, and it's putting you in pain, call me. I have a free consultation. We do have an opportunity consultations with my wife. They're super limited, but you can get a free consultation if you go to wynnadvocacy.com and fill that out. But that consultation leads to them disclosing, and I've sat in or been a fly on the wall of your initial consultations, and it's generally you letting the parent purge. And I remember in the beginning, some of those purges were a half hour, 45 minutes. Now you've been, able to cut them down to 5 or 6 minutes because you can get right to the pain point, right? How is that process going?
Right now, it's going great.
Yeah.
As with anything, the more you practice, right? I think you mentioned oftentimes 10,000 hours makes you an expert in the area. Because we're super focused on what we do, we don't try to do a million different things. We do one thing really well, which is advocacy. And so in a very brief call, I can identify the initial and major issues that the parent is experiencing, right? Mm-hmm. Give them an ear to listen to, and then create a plan for them.
Which from a marketing standpoint is incredible, right? Because you give them the 3 primary things they need, like very quickly. It's like, I let you purge, I identify within that purge where your pain point is, and then I offer you a solution immediately. Your success rate is phenomenal. You've never actually lost a case, and you've had 10,000.
We're very proud of that.
Yes, and there's been over 10,000 meetings attended.
Yep.
And you have, I think, somewhere close to 25,000 hours in, so you're way past the point of being an expert. I know you're sought after by law firms and as well as communities, and that's incredible, because one of the things in marketing that's so important is that your reputation markets for you, right? You're easily seen as not just the expert, but the person with the solution and a path to the solution. Innovation for the future, what does that look like in IEPs, but specifically in advocacy? How is innovation becoming part of what you're doing? What are you looking towards to get to the next level?
Well, we have a few short-term and long-term projects. Because we do work nationwide, as you said in the beginning, we have 3 immediate states that we've been servicing for quite a while now. Utah is now a part of those states, but we have a nationwide initiative. So we are bringing Wynn Advocacy to all families. There are about 7 million children right now who have been identified with IEPs.
Which is 14 million parents that are in pain because their child is not getting as much attention as necessary for them to have the experience. And I think it's so important, like our children are getting experiences, but it's the household experience, because it creates stress and tension in a household. So then the brothers and sisters aren't getting the experience they deserve. The child's not getting the experience and the education they deserve. The parents are under a continuous amount of stress. So it creates stress on their marriage, stress on their household, stress between the siblings. I mean, what you're doing really is solving so many problems that aren't even identified in either your marketing. I know one of the things that you're working on, which I love, that I think is going to be really cool, is you're moving from one-on-one to one-to-many. So you've created this opportunity where you can teach people how to become their own advocates, because obviously Wynn Advocacy, although you'd love to, I'm certain like everybody else, you can't dominate the marketplace. You can't do 7 million. You can't write 7 million IEPs. So you're teaching people how to come in and on certain levels determine where they're at in the process, how much advocacy help they need. In some cases, they can become, with training, their own advocates for their own child. Yes. In some cases. And in some, but it also, I think one of the things in your marketing is that you're helping them identify when they are not able to advocate for their parents and they need to get for their children, and the parents need to get out of the way and let the professionals come in. And in some cases, that even goes to due process, where the school's been so neglectful in their duties as educator. Tell me about that.
Another great question.
I'm filled with them.
So as advocates, right, we recognize that, and we believe that the parents are the expert in their children.
Yeah.
We also believe that parents have a right to...
Which is different, right? I'm interrupting you, but It's different. You believe that the parents are the experts in their child, which is completely different than the narrative the educational system wants us to believe that they're the experts in our child's education, which is a dichotomy, which is great for marketing. The reason I bring it up is when the system and you are at disparity, you can do something really cool that helps people identify. So if the narrative is we, the school, are the experts, and the parents' narrative is like, whoa, hold on, I'm being sidelined, right? That's a really good marketing component. I know you're not using it yet, but I'm just putting it out there. So you see the parents as experts. You believe that wholeheartedly. I watch you live it. Yep. So if the parents are experts, then you're helping them move through. So continue.
Yep. So as advocates, we are there to support the family, right, in their expertise of their children in the school meetings. We also train them to be educational experts to their child, right?
Right, which is important, right?
It's very important because we have learned over the years that in order to get great answers, you need to ask quality questions.
Sure.
And a lot of the information that families need is not always forthcoming from their school teams. And so that's where we come in and we educate them. We show them how to advocate for their child to get the results that they need. So the online training that we have launched nationwide will provide that initial basic support for families, right? So they can begin their advocacy journey and really tune up their experiences. Mm-hmm. Now, there are times when families find themselves in a situation or with meetings and their process where maybe they're realizing, I really need some expertise to help me through this piece.
I'm not being over my head.
Right.
And what you've taught them and the foundation of what you're teaching is to recognize
Correct.
that. Because now you've taught them what a team should be, how to be quality team members, who's leading the meeting, right? So often we give up our power by letting other people lead. Mm-hmm. And we're the ones who are supposed to be in charge. You teach them who's available, what resources are available. And sometimes, the schools have deficiencies, not because they're trying to, but because 7 million kids is overwhelming.
Well, it's a reality now. There's
Sure.
a lot of changes, in our field. And they're not all positive, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be kind, man. Let's hit them. Right? You guys have been naughty, and we're coming for you.
So there's funding cuts. There's a lot of reactions,
Sure.
in that educational space. And so we're all kind of going through it right now, but the families are really feeling the impact, I must say, and as well as the schools.
And what are the, if you had to give me 3 things that were the most important things that a family should know about trying to advocate on their own, what would be the 3 key takeaways that every family member, every parent who has a kiddo who's facing getting an IEP or a 504, what's the 3 things they should know?
Okay, 3 things. So number 1, become familiar with your parental rights.
Perfect.
That's a priority.
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 And where do they become familiar with that?
Each state has the parent educational rights posted on their website.
Great. And I know we're putting together a whole document where they can find their own states right on Wynn Advocacy. That should be ready in the next 30 days. So knowing your parental rights, number 1. You need to know. You need to know your rights. I love that. And it's an easy thing to market because all you have to say is, do you know your rights? And people will, you'll build your list by asking people the one question that you already know they don't have an answer to. They don't know their rights. So if you're the resource to share the rights, that's fantastic. What's the second thing?
Well, no one understands your rights. So
No one understands your rights.
So-
I've been corrected.
yeah, so get
No
the
one-
rights, read them, and then really dive into them.
Dive into them.
Right,
But,
understand
but
them.
your course helps them understand their rights.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
Yes.
they know and understand their rights. What's the second thing?
Build your team. You need a team because
Build
that's
your
going
team.
to
Yeah.
it's going to build your confidence, right? Yep.
So recognizing that you need a team,
Yep.
determining, right, determining
Mm-hmm.
who should be on it, what seats on the bus, right? So when you're marketing, if you're asking questions, if you're building an ad agency, that person needs a team. You need to know who's on the social team, who's creating the copy, who's distributing the copy, who's editing the information, right? So an advocate for a child has a team.
Yes.
Give me a couple of examples of who might be on that team.
Well, you're going to have your school team members, but when I say build your team, right, because you're working with your school team, we call it the home team.
Yeah.
So maybe one of your therapeutic providers that services your child,
Perfect.
an advocate, right, a parent support, a good friend who's more familiar with the process than you.
So you want to build a team. You want to build the home team. The school's showing up with the school team.
Correct.
That team's designed to beat you into submission, right? To see it their way, right? And I know I'm naughty, but in general, they have their viewpoint.
Correct.
And they have experience in some case, and it's their job to follow through. What's the third thing?
This is a good one.
This is a good
This
one.
is one of my favorite ones.
Okay, cool. Sure.
Put everything in writing.
Oh, put everything in writing. So first, know your rights and understand your rights. Second, be able to build your team. Third, put everything in writing.
Put it in writing,
I
right?
love that.
Yeah.
And put it in writing and organize it where you can find it again. So I love those things, and when you do that, if you're building your community nationwide, to lead with those 3 things will build you faster, easier, and deeper than trying any other components. So often we create a complexity around what we do because we know. I know the process of what you do because I live with you and you've taken our own children through the process. So I have an intimate understanding of how complex and deep and nerve-wracking that process can be on a parent. Even though you're our family's advocate, I'm still part of the team and I watch and I'm like, as a team member, I want X amount, because I'm the parent's child. And there's even been points where we've actually hired one of the people that works for us to be the advocate for our own children because we get so emotional.
It's very emotional, yes.
You know, it's very hard because you want so much for your child and you see them differently than sometimes is necessary to get them the things that they need. So I love what you're doing and I love how you're doing it. And I think that the most important thing is in any marketing situation is to keep it simple, to give people the 3 things that they need that they'll walk away with that you actually provide. So do you provide in your classes a way for people to understand their rights better? Absolutely.
Yes.
Right? What was the second thing that you love doing?
Building a team.
Building a team. You're part of the team, and then you point out the other components, and you can help them organize and build that team faster, more efficiently with a deeper level of expertise. And what's the third thing?
We teach you how to put your request in writing.
To put it in writing, to
Correct.
organize it, and making sure you take it a step beyond, because you know the importance of, once you put it in writing, the language necessary and to how to organize that. So those are all things that you're actually teaching one-to-many, but these are the most important things for any parental advocate. So I think it's super cool that that most advocates don't even know those three things.
Well, it's important because it begins to immediately provide relief to the parent.
Yeah. So, man, is there anything that you want to add? Because it's so hard to interview your wife. I hope I've done a great job. The most important shift in your company, marketing-wise, came when you went from being busy and making a little bit of money to being extraordinary and having a multi-year waiting list. It was when you recognized who is the client that you're serving.
Yes.
Right? Not the person who's being impacted by your solution, but the person who's writing the check to hire you to execute that solution. And when you understand who that is, you can market to anybody. So I really commend you. It's been so much fun to have my wife on my podcast. It's been great. And now we're expanding into Utah. Super fun, super cool. You can go to wynnadvocacy.com. You can get more information there, learn more about Stephanie, and discover what she's doing and what she's doing in the community for Utah, for Las Vegas, and for the country. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
It's so fun. Man, you guys hit like, hit subscribe. And here's the good news. You can give this to all your friends who are married. It is possible for spouses to interview and sit on camera together without going head to head. The next time we'll create some more drama for you, and you guys will love that too.